back on the sort of walking exercises. I'm going to start now with a standing clamshell, which I think is really important to sort of get the hip centered in the socket. So before you do this, I want you to get really good at a lying down clamshell, and then you can progress to the standing clam. So first things first, exactly as you did with the lying down clamshell, I want you to put your left hand into your hip flexor and your right hand into your glutes, because that's what we want to be focusing on now. And then I'm using a yoga brick in lieu of a step at the moment because that's what I've got handy, and that's completely fine. Could be, you know, a fat book, could be a step, could be anything you like. Bottom step of the stairs could be a yoga brick. The important thing is just that it raises your foot up, because it's easier to get your glutes firing and hip flexor off. So it's easier to do your standing clamshell when you've got the knee slightly flexed. So I'm just resting my right foot on my step, and then I'm going to let the knee collapse inwards. So this replicates the position that your knee would be in when you're lying down. So this is the same thing effectively as a lying down clam. It's just I've moved it into a vertical position. So hand into hip flexor, hand into glute, knee relaxed. And then all I'm going to do to start with is just switch on my glute, keep the hip flexor relaxed, and you can see that my shin goes from slightly diagonal and collapsed inwards to just being vertical. And that's all coming from the glute. So I'm keeping the hip flexor completely relaxed. And the idea of this is just to rebalance. One of the things that sometimes goes wrong, or commonly goes wrong around the hip, is that we forget, the brain just forgets how to use the glute on its own without the hip flexor. And it's very important to be able to create that balance. So if you're just sort of drawing the hip out and back from the glute, exactly as you were in the lying down clamshell. And if it helps, you can pull back and down slightly with the heel. I sometimes find that helps a little bit. So that's the first stage, is to do the standing clam. And then the next stage is we want to start taking some weight onto that right foot. So we do the standing clam first so that we're getting the shin vertical, and that gets your knee over your talus, over your sort of first, second toe. And then you start to take some weight onto that right foot. Again, hip flexor should stay nice and relaxed, glute should be firing all the way through. Start to take your weight forwards onto there, and slowly, slowly, slowly pull yourself up from the right foot. So we're not pushing from the bottom foot, we're pulling from the top one. Now, you will see this go wrong if your knee starts to collapse in, or your hip starts to come out to the side, or you start to twist to the left. Any of those things means that you've not got a strong enough pull on the old glute. If that happens, you come back down, relax, and start again, reset. So I'm going to do my standing clam. So that's just initiating from the glute. And I'm going to come forward with my weight over my talus, over my big toe. I've got my weight fully on my right foot now, left foot isn't even on the ground. And then I'm going to slowly, slowly, slowly stand up, keeping everything nice and steady. And then I'm going to lower myself down. And I can really feel that glute working hard all the way there. So that is a standing clam to step up is a really important exercise, I think, for getting coordination when we are learning really good walking technique.